Welcome, everyone. I'm Jennifer D. Klein with What School Could Be. Really excited this evening to have a group of three learners, three students from Cambodia who are with us today to share about their learning experiences. We also have their mentor, sponsor, teacher, Dom Sharp in the room, who's excited to share things as well. Those of you who have not participated in this kind of an event, just so that you know, we want to keep our focus on the students as much as possible, direct our questions to the students. If you have questions that come up as they're talking and sharing their projects, please feel free to throw those into the chat for us, and we're glad to take care of them when there's a good moment to have you jump in and share your question, ask your question. And of course, if you have any questions for the educator in the room here, for Dom about the design, the strategies and the background that the learners might not be aware of, please feel free to throw those in the chat. These events are designed very intentionally to allow educators to see a little bit about what school looks like from students' perspectives and what it feels like from students' perspectives when they get to take on projects that are meaningful. Oh, and I forgot to say this to the learners as well. We don't always get a big audience live, but we always get a big audience with recordings. So those of you who are watching the recording, we're glad to have you here as well, learning from these wonderful young people. So I will pass it over. I'll stop talking, pass it over to our three students to introduce yourselves, please.
So my name is Taina and I'm 13 years old and I'm from AUPP Legal Leadership Academy and I live in Bông province in Cambodia, which is about 2 hours from Phnom Penh City.
And my name is Chutika, or call me JT because my name is hard. And I live in Phnom Penh City, and I've been at Liga for about 2 years already.
And my name is Rasad. I am 14 years old. I study at AUPP Liger Leadership Academy, and my province is at Siem Reap, which, as you well known as for Angkor Wat, and it's about a 6-hour drive.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to invite you students, go ahead and open up your slides and start sharing the story of your projects. We're really looking forward to this. Yep, we can see them.
First, I want to introduce you to the Liger educational models, which are the leadership competencies. And at Liger, we have 12 leadership competencies, and these are the leadership competencies that we use a lot throughout the exploration, the essential classes, and also our assessment, which are the comfort with uncertainty, self-awareness, problem solving, collaboration, communication, and management of operation. And Liger uses all of this leadership competency to structure the student pathway to become a change agent, both for their time at Liger and also after their graduation. And this characteristic include overall project-based and experiential learning here at Liger. And Liger need all of these leadership competencies to improve and develop the student as a leader in the future.
And so another project, no, another one is called core values, and we have 6 core values that we use at Liger Leadership Academy throughout the schools, which are determination, integrity, appreciation, optimism, stewardship, and integrity. Liger used these core values to show empathy and to build a characteristic that can help guide students to become ethical, responsible, better leaders, and change agents. These core values shape their decision-making, collaboration, and hard working, help making them a positive impact.
And so the next thing about Liger is we have an experiential project-based learning unit, which is called exploration. she mentioned above about exploration. So you might wonder what is it. So exploration is a 9-week project-based learning class that that is the point of exploration is to address the world issue and students propose solution to solve that problem. So in each exploration, it's about 15 15 students. So in one round, it is 9 week and 9 week long. So in one round, it's about 4 or 5 explorations. And at the end, and before we get to the end of the exploration, I want to tell you that in exploration, we have learning facilitators. So learning facilitators is basically our teacher that but we don't call them teacher because they don't teach us what to do step by step. They give us directions and student go and solve that or go and do something by their own. So teacher don't just tell them what to do. And the next thing is at the end of week 9 we have an event called Sharation. Sharation is a make-up word by Liger. So Sharation is basically a day when all explorations go come and share their final product. So at the end of the exploration, we have final product. It's basically what they accomplished in 9 weeks and what they made or what impact they made. It can be either an impact or a real product. And so I'll move on to our real example.
So there's an exploration called Frisbee exploration. And the goal of this exploration is trying to promote Frisbee to people from our country, which is Cambodia, because it is low cost, low equipment, which is really good for our country, and it promotes gender equality too. It doesn't require any referees, and the sport relies heavily on integrity. This shows how anyone can play this sport and let people know how fun Frisbee is by organizing tournaments that will make a lot of people interested in Frisbee. And let's talk about the history of Frisbee at Liger. At Liger, 38 alumni from cohort 1 and cohort 2 are in the US, and many of them play Frisbee. And one of the alumni from cohort 1 is the captain of the ultimate Frisbee team for 3 years in Cornell, US. And let's talk about the event that the Frisbee team is making. So the Frisbee team is making a Frisbee fair at 15 March. There will be a tournament hosting there, including different school, which our school will compete in a Frisbee match. And there will be lots of people joining to watch the game and play Frisbee for fun. And about ISAP. ISAP is also well known as International School Sports Association of Phnom Penh. It is a program that different schools from different places come and compete in a type of sport such as football, basketball, and volleyball, and a lot more. And fun fact about them is that they created a schedule a year before. For example, the year 2025, they already make a schedule for 2026. And the Frisbee team decided to contact them and making phone calls to different schools to let other school play Frisbee because it is not well known yet. And the Frisbee team will try to make ISAP put Frisbee in their schedule.
So the next thing is impact project. So impact project is done by 12th graders. So once we reach grade 12, we will do an impact project. An impact project is a 1-year long project that each student choose the problem in the community, and then with the duration of 1 year, they try to propose solution or solve for the solution. And impact project over the years have included saving native bees, youth conference for climate change, creating an app for the new generation of Khmer poets, and introducing soft skill to factory workers. So many things we done for impact projects.
And now we're gonna talk about the tree planting project. And the tree planting project was started as a grade 11 exploration for cohort 2. And tree planting project is also one of the impact project for Ina from cohort 2 when she was in grade 12. And planting tree exploration is a project where students were going to do a workshop at government school and planting some trees to spread the awareness about the climate change. And at LIGO, we often committed to a long-term investment in change. And as we know, our exploration will lasted for 9 weeks, but this project will lasted for 2 years already. And since the tree planting project started, we have planted over 15,000 trees already in 88 different schools and in different 9 provinces in Cambodia. And the Ministry of Environment of Cambodia also donated 5,500 baby trees for LIGO too.
And to add on, all those workshops are held by students. The learning facilitator tell the direction. Oh, we are going to this school to help workshop, or we are planning how many trees at the school, and the student plan everything and hold the workshop for the student, and also teach the student to plant and also plant the trees at the same time. So most of the thing is done by student. So next, to transition into chainsaw tree, what we are here for. So back in 2016, Dom visited a chainsaw tree graveyard. So the chainsaw tree graveyard is basically where all confiscated chainsaw are caught and stored. Because the ministry in Cambodia caught the chainsaws that are used by illegal loggers to cut down trees, because cutting down trees are not the rule in Cambodia. So they store all the chainsaws and the car that used to carry the trees, everything at a room. Might be some connection issues. So this is basically how it looks over there. And the initial idea came to Dam's mind. He said we should build a tree to to symbolize the negative effect of deforestation. So then since 2016, that project is proposed each year to be a possible exploration. All staff are very excited to take over that project, but are also anxious how difficult it is, because it is a massive project. And in 2019, it is the year that our first cohort, or the first recruited group of students reach grade 12. So they are required to pick an impact project and then work on it for a year long. So it comes to Minh Huot. Minh Huot picked Dom idea and work on it for a year long. So who is Minh Huot? Minh Huot is a cohort 1 alumni that graduated in 2020, and he is now studying landscape architecture in Thailand on his last year of university.
And at LIGO, we often revisited and continue to develop our best idea. And just like the Chainsaw Tree project idea, we still, it lasted since 2016, but we still try to develop it till now. And Minh Huot Impact Project is the Chainsaw Tree, and during his impact project, Minh Huot tried to sketch a possible 3D models of a chainsaw tree. And he's also worked and write a official document to submit it to the government to secure and transport the chainsaw to the place where he wanna build the chainsaw tree in Mondokiri. And he finally networked with a local artist since the tree was going to build far away from Liger, and the chainsaw had to be welded together. And he felt it was so important to turn the actual construction to a professional so that he could focus on his graduation first instead of going to Mondokiri so frequently. And Menghood was intentionally overwhelmed, but also very excited at the same time to make a big impact on his country through his project.
And then bang, COVID hit the world. So in July 2020, it's the middle of when COVID hit the world. And it's also when Minghood finally received permission to use 1,000 chainsaws from the ministry. But and then he planned to use that chainsaw in San Manorom, which is the capital city of Mondokiri we mentioned earlier. And he planned to build a 10-meter tall tree, but unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we felt like we should build a smaller one next to home. So we built on we used 75 chainsaw of the 1,000 and built it on the actual Liger campus that we are in right now. And that chainsaw tree, we still see it every day, and it's very big. It's very cool. And the fun fact is that every time the guests take a tour, or anyone that is new take a tour at Liger, they always ask, "What is it? Why is that for?" And of course, we are good at explaining them. We explain, and they understand the point of having a chainsaw tree. And this is the process of building a chainsaw tree at Liger. Yeah, and this is the final look of the chainsaw tree that is being built at Liger.
And due to the unfinished of building chainsaw tree in Mondokiri, the 10-meter one, Melia is a cohort 2 student at Liger who graduated in 2023. She's now studying in the Northwestern University in USA, and she's also played frisbee. And after Menghood graduated for 2 years, the chainsaw tree project became Melia's impact project for her grade 12, and her goal is to finish the construction of a 10-meter chainsaw tree in Mondokiri. And finally, the chainsaw tree finished in 2023.
And in the late 2020, the second cohort reached grade 10. And Dom and Caroline approached Chandna, one of our learning facilitators, and explains Dom's idea of writing a book about the chainsaw tree. They have to draw image from the readers to be more for the readers to be more visuals while reading the book, and have a hard time making the book cover. And the book was written in early 2020 and published in 2021. And in 2021 and 2022, after the Chainsaw Tree book, my version was finished, Carol, the principal of AUPP Liger Leadership Academy, read through the translation of the English book, but she felt like it was just a hard translation. So she gathered a few cohort 2 students to help her make the story. And at 2022, the book was finished.
And let's pause a second and look at how tall the chainsaw tree is. So this is compared to a person about 1.6 meter. If you look at this, you might say it's not very tall, but if you compare to a person standing next It's a 10-meter tall. It's very tall. And this is Melia. She is the person who took over Mingwood Impact Project. And next, it's our turn. So our job in our round 2 exploration, the past round, we need to publish the English version book into the Amazon website. So before we get to that, we need to we already have the book translation, but we have to put it into an actual format of book. So we put it into an actual book, and since we don't have all the arts, so we have to redraw some arts again. So this is some example that the art that we redraw, and also some title page need to be redone, like acknowledgements, the book front cover or back cover, because it's different from the version from Khmer and English one. So next.
So in this exploration, we also learned from an expert like how to publish our book on Amazon. And the person that we learned from is Mr. Robert, who is an English author. And we've never published any book on Amazon before. So yeah, that was such a good thing for us to learn something new.
And then it's the completion of the book. We already completed the illustration, the book cover, and we already decided what type of book that we should put. And it's ready for publishing, but and we tried collaborating with Liger New Zealand to get an account, because Amazon unfortunately does not accept Cambodian bank accounts. So and one of our LFAs tried to contact Liger New Zealand, but unfortunately they're out on a break and they're transitioning into a new school. And to wrap it all up, the leadership competency that I have learned during this project is, the first one is management of operations. I learned how to plan for Sharation. I was able to contribute the first half of the exploration. And the second one is collaboration. I learned how to work and discuss things as a team. And the last one is problem solving, which I learned how to solve to find solution and solve problems by identifying the problem.
And even though the book is not on Amazon yet, it's just not our goal, but the students really have determination to work together and get everything done and ready to go as soon as we get the bank account.
And lastly, it's about impact. Even though the book is not officially out yet, so we couldn't make any external impact, but the process of making the book impacted me internally. So being in that exploration helped me learn new skill, helped me to be patient, and helped me. I don't like art, so but I tried, because I have to be comfort with uncertainty. So I tried try some art. So some art that we showed above was some are mine and some was not. And but even though the book is not out yet, but we are still very optimistic that the book will go out soon. And another thing is, project-based learning works when first my leadership competency skill are very low, but now I get to improve and improve and improve a lot when I do more project-based learning. It's about real life experience, because if you learn in the classroom and you don't go out and you don't see the world as your classroom, so it's hard for me to improve my leadership competency skills. But when I go out and I talk to more people, my communication levels is going better. My decision making is going better. so they also experienced that too. And that's basically that everything from us. And if you have any question, feel free to ask us. We are happy.
Well, first of all, let me just jump in and say, wow. I know that you all have not been focused on the chat because you've been presenting, but we'll make sure that you get to see the chat afterwards or when you have a chance along the way because people are saying amazing things already. I think everyone in the room is absolutely blown away. So let's get some questions for these learners. What amazing artwork that you're doing. I'm so impressed, really so impressed. So questions for them. Who would like to jump in with a question? I'm actually, this is going to sound like a silly question to start with, you guys, but I'm really curious about how you build with something that's dangerously sharp. What were there safety concerns? Were there things that you had to figure out before you started handling chainsaws of that size to make sure that you were okay? And where did the safety, like who was in charge of making sure that you all stayed safe?
I can probably jump in there, Jennifer, because the
Sure.
guys here didn't actually build the chainsaw tree. So it was a real concern, obviously, transporting and then welding them together. So we had local people, and our local internal team and staff at Liga actually did the actual construction. But we were around and go, put a chainsaw there, put that one there. So the whole instruction was from the students and myself about where it was going to be put. But yeah, obviously we couldn't have them welding chainsaw trees onto the stems. And now the other one, the one up in Mondulkiri, 10 meters high. I mean, I love your comments, and you see it's such an imposing sort of structure, and exactly the sort of image we wanted to portray. But if I can just 1 second link that back to what Tainar was talking about with the tree planting, what we teach our students is if you need to be part of the solution. You don't just stand up and say there's deforestation and this is a major problem and bad people are around. How are we going to help? So the tree planting was run in conjunction with the chainsaw tree. So to then go out into nearly 90 government schools and plant 15,000 trees as part of the solution and teach those government school students more about trees and the importance of it, I think was a huge part of the message.
Love it. I totally love that. I'm curious to hear from the students. We've got a couple of questions here in the chat, and I turned off the sharing of the screen just so that everybody can see each other's faces at Robert's request, which is very smart. So Alfonso, I don't know if you want to speak your question rather than my speaking it for you.
Well, it's a very simple question. First of all, thank you for all this amazing project. What was the most frustrating step or moment in this experience?
In the chainsaw tree project experience or our project experience?
There are so many experiences here. Yeah.
Whatever strikes your eye, you're free to answer in any way you want. What was the most frustrating experience? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say with any of the things that you've been talking about and participating in.
So one example is when Mainwood got the chainsaw tree. I mean got the chainsaw from the ministry. He had to write a whole official document for it. But then when Milia took over, she had to go over the same process and write it again. And it takes sometimes for the ministry to get back to us. So it's like it takes her some time, so she need to wait. That's probably frustrating about the project, the Chainsaw Tree project.
Real experience with the way that bureaucracies and governments work. Yeah, that's perfect. What about the other two students there? What was most frustrating for you?
For me, tree planting was the first project-based learning that I've never learned since I came to Liger. So I've never done all of those things before, and I need like I have to call to the another principal in the province and ask them, oh, do you want us to go to your school? And some of the principal was like, oh, who are you? Maybe a scam or something. And I was like, oh no, I'm an organization. I'm trying to help the world. And they was like, oh, okay, so let me ask another staff in my school first.
And for me, because this is my first year joining Liger, like I have to experience new things such as making phone calls, going to see the outside world. And for me, I'm in the frisbee exploration too. So I have to like find organizations, find funds, contact like local restaurants to let them join our frisbee event. And because this is my first time doing it, I sometimes get nervous by that.
Yeah, understandable. Thank you for those answers. David, I see a great question from you. Do you want to turn on your mic and ask the question, or I can? Would be great to hear your voice if you're there. All right, I will ask the question. Oh, there, I see your mic went off.
I'm not in a quiet environment, so if you could read it for me, please.
Okay, I'm glad to, David. So David Paskin is asking, what is the most challenging part of working and learning without a teacher guiding your every step? Great question. Whoever wants to start.
Like we learned it by the learning facilitator comes and gives us a task, and then we would get in a group and do it as a teammate. Like for example, we're doing like a project about frisbee, so we had to like help contact organizations, but since we can't use our phones, we ask for our learning facilitators to make the phone calls.
And for me, the challenge is that our learning facilitators give us direction and what to do, but the students, I am the one who make the product. So my recent example is creating a schedule agenda for an event. So we proposed the idea of hosting a frisbee event. I'm also with him too, with the frisbee team. Propose the idea of hosting an event, and then our facilitator say yes. But all they do is just say yes. So we as a student propose the next step. So they after they say yes, they cannot just make a schedule or agenda. They cannot just find fun for us. We are the one who need to do it. So I do it. I make the schedule and agenda, and then I go back to the facilitator. And sometime he say no, sometimes he say yes. So that's quite a challenge because sometimes my facilitator give me things job to do, but sometimes I misunderstood, so I did a wrong thing. So then I have to do it again. That's my challenge.
And for me, it's just like what Chotika says. It's like our facilitators just say yes and no. When I was doing the project in the outdoor leadership exploration, which is the student were going camping and learn about leadership skills, it's like we were preparing, like we need to make a list of what we're gonna take to the camping because we can bring a lot of stuff. And sometimes when we are planning already and we take them for them to check and they says, okay, yes, but you can add something, but they don't told us like what to add. So we just need to think ourselves and go, oh my God, what does he think he wants us to add. So we just need to do it again and again until they say yes or no.
And that's actually a good thing because it shapes our decision making and our problem solving. Because later on, when we go to university or we are going to work, there's no one always guiding us and telling us what to do. So they are basically like trying to shape us to be the one, like the how to shape our own journey, but they are also helping behind when we are really stuck.
That's great. Bressa, what about you? What was the most challenging part about not just being told what to do by teachers?
Like, yeah, the hardest thing that I like, sometimes I have to do things on my own because the learning facilitators, but yeah, sometimes they will help us, but most of the time we have to learn to do things on our own because when we're in the future, we gonna have to do things on our own.
That's great. Now we have a really interesting question connected to this. This is for Dom, and I don't usually ask questions directly to the educator, but Joe Pounds, do you want to jump in with your sound and ask that counter question that you posed?
Certainly, Dominic. I just thought it'd be interesting to hear the perspective of the teacher because we certainly know students will embrace this freedom and rise up to the level of responsibility they need to take on the task. But teachers have a hard time with this. And so, from your perspective, what's the most challenging in letting go like this and allowing students to work without your guidance and without your step-by-step instruction?
It's a great question. What do you think, Dom? What do you want to share?
That is a great question. So I want to, thanks, Joe. What I want to say from the beginning is that I was country director of LIGA for 12 years. So I'm not an actual learning facilitator, but I can tell you from our level, the hardest part was to unlearn the teachers of a lot of the pedagogy that they arrived with. And it's really hard when school is, based around success and you come to experiential project-based learning where it is not all about success, it's about learning. And at LIGA, the failure is not just accepted, it's expected. If you don't fail, you haven't tried enough. Because what they learn right from the beginning is when you leave school, we all know your life doesn't just go in a trajectory straight up. You have to learn that when you do fail, when things don't happen the way you want them to happen, sometimes it's because of you, sometimes it's because of outside influences. You have to learn from that. You have to pick yourself up and do it. So that's what experiential learning is all about. They don't always, as the guys already intimated as well, you don't always hit your product at the end of 9 weeks. That was really tough at the beginning for teachers to understand that we didn't get to the end product, so we failed. Guys, most of the time the learning is more when you don't get to that end product because the reflection is why. And how did we not get there? Was it anything to do with us? Well, you know what? Somebody else already had that idea and it was a better product. Okay, identify the problem, or that's not really a problem. So we changed problem solving from being simply problem solving. Our first point of it is identify the problem. Because we had a lot of students who thought they were solving a problem that wasn't really there. And then we let some kids go through nearly a 2-year process of setting up vans and taxis to take people from the province. And then they were like, I'm ready to launch, Dom. And go, well, what about the legal implications? So they had to go and talk to lawyers. And again, we just let them go. It wasn't full time. They wanted to do this as an extra. It was a sort of startup that they wanted to have. And in the end, they came in nearly 2 years later and go, oh, you know what? We have complicated this. This isn't really the problem facing these people trying to get from the province to Phnom Penh. We could have done it like this and completed this in 3 months ago. Okay, you've learned something now, haven't you? Identify the problem before you try and solve it. So it's really, I think that's been a huge thing, trying to unlearn the teachers. If I give you one of the very first projects, the second one we ever did, was the children were making bags, and it was value add. So we're going to make these bags. They asked for a loan. So the facilitator got me in there. They had a great presentation about, oh, we need this loan to buy the bags and buy the material and do this. And I listened to, I said, great presentation, guys. The answer's no. And they looked at me, and the facilitator came up afterwards. What are you doing? We can't do this if they don't get them. I said, that's not a loan, guys. You're asking me just to give you money. Like, how's Liger going to get the money back? No, you need to go and do some more work. Facilitator took me in and showed me their journals later on that week. One of the girls who just graduated from political science in Japan had written in her journal for the day, "Now Dom is a problem!" Exclamation marks.
No, you're the problem they have to solve. Love it.
They came back with 75% of the loan covered in pre-sales. That's a lesson I'll never forget. Then I agreed the loan, and they got it. So we're teaching them at every point. Don't give it to them. If you get out of their way, young people will surprise you and astound you. So get out of their way and just be there to help them.
Love that. Love that. And I think that's, unfortunately, it's not always part of the natural DNA of the teacher, right? Depending on their own experience and education, depending on how they were trained, it takes some unlearning, as you said, right? Some unlearning to be able to do that. Really impressive. Josh, you looked like I know when you open your mic that you must have a question, and I hope you'll be directing it back toward our learners here. Go for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. And Dom, you might need to help me with this a little bit, but to the learners, I've been reading a book lately, Yuval Noah Harari's book Nexus, which the first 100 pages is really about how we ended up with ministries in our cultures, and that it was the categorization of information, and there were people who became the keepers of that information. And I know you students, you mentioned a couple of times having to deal with the ministry. And I would love to know a little bit more about that experience and its difficulties. Must have been moments of great elation because you had succeeded in working with a ministry, which is a pretty scary idea, frankly. So I would love to know more about that. Yeah.
So since we are only grade 8, we are the students, the cohort after the 2 cohort that graduated. So we weren't the one who actually experienced that. The other 2 cohort were actually the one experienced that.
Have you guys written anything to ministries?
Yeah, recently, I written one. So there was a stadium, the new stadium in Phnom Penh. They just built it. So we plan to host our frisbee event there. So since it's belong to the government, I have to write official document, and they told me to go to the department of the school so they can write it. But instead, I did not listen to them. I wrote it myself, and because the department of the school, they don't know what our goals are and the details. So I wrote it, but when I gave that document to our department, they said the format is wrong, but the information in there, we can accept that. So they rewrite it for us in a correct format that our school usually does. So the problem is that I never experienced that. So it's a new thing for me. So I have to deal with that for like 1 or 2 days, and then I can submit that to the government.
What was it that you wrote about? What were you saying to them with regard to the stadium?
I was requesting to use the National Mordadecho Stadium. It is the new stadium that we just built a few years ago, but we have to write it in like a formal way.
And were you making like you were trying to convince them to say yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you go about writing it in a way that you thought would lead to success and them saying yes?
So since we wrote it in Khmer, so I use the respected words, because usually all the documents are written respectively. So I also use that word. But when our school department write again, they just add some information and make it in the correct format. All I did was just add the detail of why we are using that field.
And in the end, you owned that document. It was yours.
Yes, it was our exploration, the one who wrote that. But the school made some change, and then later we put that letter to the government, and they accepted.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that story. I love the idea that you presented the argument, but the format was not correct.
Yeah,
And
the
that's
format
what
was not correct.
ministries do, right? They make you put it in a format, and then you learn what the format is, and then next time you would know what that format is. Yeah, so that's real world learning.
That's exactly right, Josh. In another year or two, nobody will be rewriting this. All of our students write it in the correct format, in the correct language, to the correct ministry.
Yeah.
It's very hard to change something for the better if you don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So they have to know how their country works. And when they know how it works, they have the ability to know how to change it and develop it and make it better. And
Yeah.
that's why experiential learning, like to change your country, you have to understand your country. To understand your country, you have to experience your country. So when they've done that, they learn how it works, they learn how to approach it. Chainsaw tree is a very, very contentious issue. And a lot of people warned us off it for a long time. But when you have letters of support from the ministry, it's not contentious at all. We wrote it and said, we love what you're doing up in Mondulkiri. We want to help and we want to raise awareness about your project and how you are, doing this. And we want to create a program about reforestation. I mean, who can say no to that? So it's showing them how to approach it and how your country works.
I love too that and I'm sure our students here felt this, right? That sometimes, in my experience anyway, there are schools that are doing project-based learning, but it ends in a sort of, I'm going to present this to the parents, but nothing ever happens, right? And so it becomes this wonderful exercise in imagination, but it doesn't actually impact policy. It doesn't actually impact a community. And it sounds like the kind of work that you all are doing actually goes all the way to impact, which is really powerful to hear. I'm curious to know from the students too, you shared a bunch of really powerful competencies, and there were lots of comments in the chat about how different those competencies are than the lists that we see a lot of the time. And so I'm curious from each of you, what would you say was the competency or core value that you found the hardest to master?
Can I share my screen to
Of
the
course.
slide?
Yeah, so that we can see the list again. That would be great.
So let's start. Let's each of us start with the competencies. So my weakness of the leadership competencies is collaboration, because sometimes I just feel better working alone, because when I work with other people, they don't understand. They sometimes don't understand what I'm asking them to do or what we are asked to do. So I decided to work alone instead. So I'm trying to improve my collaboration. so we can share equal works.
For me is comfort with uncertainty and the communication. For me in class, I was talking a lot with my friends and students and sharing ideas. But when I go out on trip, I was like, I'm not comfort with myself to talk to the others people, like making a phone call. It was my fear to making a phone call to other people, and but I try to get out of my comfort zone, and now it's a little bit better.
For me too is comfort with uncertainty, because since when I came here, I am not really a type of person who like talks a lot, and when class time, I would like be nervous, and like sometimes I wouldn't even share my ideas, even at trips and phone calls, because when I meet new people, I tend to get like uncomfortable. But now I'm in progressing.
And
Yeah, you're right.
to add on
Sorry,
from
I just have to jump in really quickly and just say, Brusset, like you're doing it right now, right? You're sharing with an audience. You've been comfortable, even if you've been nervous. We haven't been able to see that. So yeah, you've definitely developed that competency. Sorry, Jotikak, go ahead.
To add on from Prasad, the very first time I experienced exploration, we were learning about disabilities with Caroline, our principal, and then it was my first time and the first year studying exploration, and I remember that time Caroline asked me to make a phone call to an organization and to ask if we can get a quick tour at their place. And I was nervous and I couldn't say no because or if I don't try, we don't get to go. So but from what I remember, the trip we had some event happening too, so we canceled that trip. Or we might not have enough time. So we canceled that trip, so I did not make the phone call.
I love it. And I'm curious too, this idea of finding the problem before you try to solve it. What was your experience like in terms of finding the problem to begin with, being able to do that? Because I think that's a skill that we often skip over in schools. We spend a lot of time, and I'm a big fan of solutionary work, right? But if we don't start from being able to say, hey, this is what the problem is, I'm super curious about your experience identifying the problem itself.
It's like the problem is like in our exploration, our round tool, the social media marketing and book publishing. We already making the Khmer version of Chainsaw Tree book, but we says that it's only the Khmer people can read the Khmer books. So the problem is that it can go all over the world. So that's why the students were writing it in the English version and put it in the format and trying to put it on Amazon so that people in the other countries can read because it's in English. So most of the people in the world uses English. So it may be having a huge impact on them.
And like it is hard for us too, because we have to find the right pictures to put in the book. We have to like translate the back cover, because at the back cover there's like a full translation of the English, and I translated the back cover.
That's great. That's so exciting. There are lots of comments in the chat about folks. We can't wait to get to see the book when it's available to us. So you've got your first sales right here. Can you pull up that photo again for us of that final chainsaw tree, just so that we can enjoy that image? Because it's just so impressive the way that this has grown. I love it. That's just an incredible.
The one in Monterey, guys. The one in
Well, no,
Monterey.
even the one before. I mean, it's just incredible. So where do you go from here? what are the next steps? What are the next things you want to take on? This is for our students. What are the next problems you want to try to dig into? If you've figured it out yet. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Like, if we can try to contact the Liger New Zealand and like tell them that we needed a bank account to put in Amazon, because Amazon doesn't agree with us putting a Cambodian bank account.
Maybe we could try to contact the Amazon and ask why, because the other countries have rights to do it, but we don't.
Yeah, there's an injustice there.
Yeah, and it's like it's not really make sense because we Cambodian trying to sell a book that make the world, that impact the world. It was a really good book for people to read. So like, why you don't let us sell those books with a Cambodian bank account?
Love it. Love it. Advocating for your own work. That's perfect. Josh, did you want to jump in again?
Yeah, just a really quick question to the students and to you, Dom. Because I had that awesome opportunity a year and a half ago to visit the Liger campus in New Zealand, and to meet you, Dom. I wonder, you know, in the greater scheme of project development, problem identification, what sort of collaboration may be happening between Liger New Zealand and Liger Leadership Academy in Cambodia?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I think it's not just Liger Leadership Academy in New Zealand. Right now, one of the projects that the students are doing is Khmer cuisine, and that's following on from one of the last projects. So trying to raise awareness, trying to in different ways. So we are working, and they're about to have a call and work with a group of students in Australia at the Knox School. They do Knoxplorations, they call their explorations, and I've been out there to visit them and speak with them. They're great. They're doing so it's always to connect with like-minded people and to make experiential project-based learning the mainstream. We're not the outliers. This is what education is. People got to stop sending kids to school, and they've got to start educating them. There's a difference, you know. So this is what we need to do. So we'll be connecting with as many schools as we can. They're also connecting with a top chef in the UK who's at a teaching school, at least school of culinary school. She's going to be learning about Khmer cuisine. She's going to be cooking up. They're going to be talking about fusion. Can you get all the products here? Then they're talking to one of our alumni who's just come back to graduated from Thailand. He's working in a startup here now, and he's working on product design. So they're working with him. He came in to share his knowledge with our students last week, and he's going to help them with product design in designing like a small package with spices for specific, classic Khmer dishes, with a little story on it that then we can sell. Okay, buy the story, buy the recipe, and just add your own protein. That way they can export it, they can get it around the place. We're looking at working and the kids cooking this on internal hotel channels, so you can cook along with our kids, buy the spices downstairs, take them home. It's connection. It's like, as we said earlier, the world is our classroom, and it's not just Liger to Liger. It's Liger to whoever wants to be progressive, whoever wants to listen, whoever wants to be part of the solution in moving this forward for kids all around the world.
Love it.
Jennifer, I just would love to elevate Joe just for a second here, Joe's comment here, and just say to the students, wow, yes, I agree with Joe. You have such energy, and it just is so apparent that you're in a joyful learning process. And thank you, because you've put fuel in my tank for years to come. Seriously, it's just really, really neat to experience your presentation today. And Dom, I just want to highlight what Jeff Holte said, which is opportunity-based learning. That was the phrase that he gave to me. And that's what today's been all about. So super fantastic.
Well, I want to thank the students for sharing your experiences and for being so articulate about those experiences and what was challenging and what was great. You did a beautiful, beautiful job. And Dom, thank you for bringing all of us together. We will definitely, Mel, if you can help out, make sure that you get the chat so that the students have a chance to explore some of the insights. We'll be excited to bring this around. Before we do our final cheer, of course, and our we traditional fist bump. Mel, do we have any upcoming events that we need to spotlight first, and then we'll wrap up?
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. So this is more of a save the date because we don't yet have a registration link. But on Tuesday, March 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time, we invite you to come and see the next Ion Student Protagonism event. We'll be featuring the students of WEA, West Hawaii Explorations Academy. Their campus is actually located within the Hawaii Ocean Science and Technology Park. So it's no surprise that they value authenticity and student direction. And so they'll be sharing some of the results of their project-based curriculum. So keep your eyes open in the community events tab or on our website, whatschoolcouldbe.org/events.
Thank you so much, Mel. All right, first thing I'm going to do is ask everybody to unmute your microphone and give them an actual audible round of applause, please, to our student presenters. That was absolutely wonderful. I hope you could hear all of that cheering. And now our traditional end point is and I have to say, I really liked that Power to the People version that we got at our last Ion Student Protagonism. But the idea is, without covering your face, please share your fist bump out and we'll get a picture of this.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all for participating. Students, wonderful, wonderful job. Actually, and we'll follow up with you later, Dom, because we would love to share their slides and be able to grab some of those images and links and share them in the community so that folks can learn more. Thank you all for being a part of these events. They are so, so important. It's from my perspective, there's nothing more important than educators listening to learners about their experiences. And there's nothing more powerful when it comes to reshaping the way we think about school and the experience of education. So thank you to everyone again for your participation tonight.